I'm Raymond Douglas, and welcome to my man cave. Well, rather tool shed, or my special place of reflection. The Inside Out Perspective takes a look at life's challenges and its effects and asks one simple question: what race are you running? Good day and welcome to another episode of the Inside Out Perspective. I'm not too sure what's happening on your side of the world, but here in the Western Cape in sunny South Africa or winter South Africa, COVID-19 restrictions are slowly being lifted and we are going back to church. And the wonderful thing about church is the interaction with like-minded thinkers and the fellowship which you gain and just talking to people. But even better so was Sunday's simple message. Now our minister had a look at 1 Thessalonians 5, 17 and 18, which is a simple message of pray without ceasing and giving thanks. But then she went and flipped the coin and went to Psalm 23. Now, I was a little bit confused at first because I thought, Psalm 23, we know it all well. The Lord's my shepherd and I shall not want. And He makes me lay down in green pastures and leads me to still waters. What has that got to do with thanks? But in the understanding of Psalm 23, we need to have a look at the environment. And that environment is not green meadows of lush provision, which we can give thanks of. And that was my understanding of it. I mean, if you think of lush meadows, you think of rolling hills with this greenery way into eternity, with cattle grazing and sheep, and you get the understanding that through following Yahweh, He's going to take you to these green pastures and He's going to plonk you down, and you're going to have provision. Wonderful provision of great pancakes, of cream buns, of lovely sweeties and cold drinks and milkshakes, and whatever your heart's desire is going to be there, where you're just sitting there and plonking and eating and just enjoying and reveling in the lush green pleasure which God has provided you. But the environment around Judea and Jerusalem hills is a desert terrain. It's a rocky, sandy desert terrain. There's no lush green pastures of rolling hills with cattle and etc. being fed in eternity. So where does this idea of green pastures come from? And if we understand the weather patterns of that area, you have a westerly wind blowing to the Jerusalem mountains, and as it hits the mountains, it condenses against the rocky terrain. And the water seeps off the rocks, and around the rocks you get these little tufts of grass popping up. Small tufts of grass. And this is where the shepherd leads his flock, on the slopes of those hills. And the sheep walk on those paths, and they eat little clumps of grass. Step by step, they go through their day eating tufts of grass, following the shepherd who provides for their daily needs. And that was very interesting to me, that the green pasture is not a lush provision for eternity and meeting our every need. It's our daily need requirement in our reliance on the true God of creation. And that for me is fantastic, because it gives me the message that this is a God of relationship and not a God of rules of religion and follow this and do that. It's in our trust in Him that He will provide for our daily needs that we can give thanks. And that to me was absolutely awesome. Now we know Jesus told us this in Matthew. He said to us, don't worry about tomorrow, because if Yahweh is providing for the birds, how is He not going to provide for His children? And as a child of God, I know I can stand in the security of David and Psalm 23 that we're going to have provision. But that provision is extended, because understand that the shepherd is out in the field for an extended period of time. He doesn't go to work during the day and then plod back home into Jerusalem and stay in his condo for the night and then jump in the taxi and go back to his flock in the fields. No, he's there for a period of time. So at night, the shepherd makes an encampment for his flock to protect them. And in that encampment is provision of food as well for the sheep's need. So you see, in day and night, in the threat of darkness and evilness, the shepherd is there for our provision and our protection. And it's that simplicity of understanding God's word that impacted me. That it's our trust in Him. Put our faith in Him and the provision will be there. And that's what we need to give our daily thanks for. That is what Paul is talking about in Thessalonians when he says, pray without ceasing and give thanks. And there's so many things in our lives to give thanks for. We don't have to think hard about it. So, the question remains, which race are you running?